On a quiet spring morning at their family farm in Belleville, teenage brothers Travis and Trevor Thiel get an early start on the day, rising with the sun to start their morning chores. First, they herd and feed the sheep. Then they brush the horses.
Morning, Ram.
And make sure to stock the food and water. Then it's up to the chicken coop to care for the chickens. And finally, they feed their dogs. Travis and Trevor do all of this every morning, every day, before most children their age have even gotten out of bed. But in their family, this is standard. With 9 other siblings to look after, they know they are simply pulling their weight, pitching in for their extraordinary family. Adopted at birth, Travis and Trevor are 2 of many. There's 26-year-old Anna.
Thank you.
12-year-old Juliana. 11-year-old Jory. 9-year-old Emily Rose. 7-year-old Christian. 5-year-old William. 2 4-year-olds, Lily and Sarah. And 1-year-old Isaiah. 3 older brothers and an older sister have already grown up and moved out.
I grew up as an only child, and it was from 13 on, it was just my mother and I was somewhat lonely, so I wanted a nice big family.
Judy and Terry Thiel were married in 1966 in Naperville, Illinois. Together, they raised 3 biological sons in the 1970s and 80s. Although they'd always dreamed of having a large family, illness left Judy unable to carry more children. They turned to adoption, adding 1 child at a time until they had filled their home with a family of 18.
We did not launch out in our marriage intending to adopt at all. Judy always had a heart big enough to do that. She had a desire for children that perhaps I didn't share originally. But our intent was never to adopt many. It was just one by one. Each child that's come, we've been invited to receive into our family. And the Lord has been behind each one. Each one has a fantastic story. Each one is unique.
The Thiels are unique in more ways than one. Originally from a mainstream Chicago suburb, they relocated to this 9-acre farm in Belleville 6 years ago. Judy remembers her first visit to the valley.
We saw beautiful quilts and gardens, and we saw hay wagons in the fields, horses plowing, little Amish boys freshly scrubbed in straw hats, and fruit orchards. It was the most beautiful place on earth. Mountains. It seemed like the birds sang more beautifully, the flowers more bright. I just couldn't imagine a place like this on earth.
Frustrated with urban living, Judy and Terry were drawn to the spirituality in the valley.
We knew that God was calling us here. There was no question. I packed day and night for 4 weeks, and we arrived with 9 children and 20,000 pounds of stuff to live a more simple life.
A more simple life that included homeschooling, complex and ever-changing medical needs, and care for an entire farm full of animals. The switch from urban to rural life took some getting used to.
It's quite different seeing a horse and buggy cruising down the street instead of a Mercedes-Benz in the suburbs, and many houses and 4-lane highways instead of little country roads.
I figured we were from the city, and surely we did not want to pretend to be farmers. We came here for other reasons. So I put a serious ironclad moratorium on animals, and I think within 2 months I had 15 cats, a llama, 2 cows, a horse, and dogs were adopting us. It didn't work.
What does work for the Thiels is a solid structure of family and community.
The older ones help the younger, the abled help the disabled, and we work as a family.
Though the children's adoptions vary in circumstance, many of them join the family at birth. Judy remembers the day that Travis was born.
I was there. We went into the delivery room. When he was born, they put him in my arms. I just sang to him, and he opened his eyes and looked up at me. And she called over, "Do you like him?" And I said, "Like him? I love him." And I laid him in her arms, and we just cried and sang together. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the delivery room.
Today, Travis is a bright and caring 15-year-old with a passion for music, something he shares with the rest of his family.
Music is a big part of our lives. Maybe that's the highlight of my day, is gathering the family and doing music.
In addition to music, the children share a love of the outdoors, something they had limited exposure to in the Chicago suburbs.
We definitely couldn't play field games like soccer or anything because we only had about a quarter of an acre. And most of our stuff was done inside, so there's a lot more space here and we have more space to do things.
Space is something the Thiels need more than most families. In addition to being full-time parents and homeschool teachers, Judy and Terry tend to the special medical needs of their children, several of whom require serious daily care.
We have to become the specialist. I mean, that's what we're being called to do. I'm a liver specialist. I know what livers are because I had a liver transplant, a young girl. I'm a specialist on autism because one of my children has autistic tendencies and drug addiction. We have to know that.
Despite the challenges that accompany daily living, Judy and Terry say they wouldn't change a thing.
As a mom, I'm doing medical work all the time. I'm teaching my children. It's challenging, it's fulfilling. There's nothing in this world I would want to do more than be a mom. And there's a really beautiful parallel with adoptions in a human sense and being adopted into God's family. We make that parallel, and they know how much they're wanted, how much they're loved, that they were selected and chosen.
We're a family. I have no difference in affection for any of my children. I love them all. I love them in difficult times. I love them when they're having complicated things going on in their lives. That makes no difference. I love them all. And I assume that they have a birthright. They have a right to a family. And we are that family. Jesus loves